Guten Abend. How was everyone? How was your Sunday? I hope it was eventful, as every day should be. I'm trying to offer every minute of every day to the Holy Ghost, and it's difficult. It's difficult reminding myself to why I'm why my existence on Terra is. And as I tell everyone, when I committed to these vows here at Shepherd Corps to the Holy Ghost, I never realized it would become the most difficult thing really that my body has ever endured mentally, physically, and it's superiorly rewarding. Those who have been inquiring about the spiritual academy, yeah, you could sense the frustration in a couple of my videos, right? Apologies, it does get frustrating. Um, so before we begin chapter 14, if you would like an update on where the spiritual academy is, that's the prince you need to contact, Father David Bittman at St. George, St. George Church, St. George, Utah, 435 673 2604. That's 435 673 2604. Welcome. Welcome if you're joining us to the exhilarating book of your existence, why you're here, why it's so rewarding that you should be grateful for every day of your existence because of what your forefathers did to get you here. And this is what I'm trying to present to you, how important every hair on your body is. You particular individual. Whether it's you, the young lady who we blessed in the parking lot because she's pregnant, or the gentleman who's in need of food. It just goes on and on. There are very few of you that come up to us, and very few that we approach. That's the way we like it. We're not big time event gatherers. We're after it. We're trying to get to an ear, but we want the ear to listen. You know. All right, so let us begin chapter 14. And I'm going to share with you more of your incredible bloodline. And it came to pass in that time that Amraphel, who happened to be the king of Sanara, as well as Arioch, who is the king of Pontus. Now, this next name I want you to remember because he is an incredible king. Uh, after yeah, after what you've already learned from Nebuchadnezzar and everyone else, yeah, I'll shut up. Kodalahomor. Kodalahomor is the king of the Elenites. Elenites. Kodorlahomer. Kodorlahomer. King of the Elenites. Kingdom that will get fairly big. And then we have Thadal. Thadal, who is the king of nations. Now, these four kingdoms, they all made war. And there's a song about this that Shepherd Corps put together. So uh, make sure you refer to it on our both Facebook as well as YouTube. All right, so these four kingdoms, the Elenites, king of nations, Sennar, the kingdom of Pontus, they all made war against 5 other types of kingdoms. This song that we wrote is actually the first war. This actually is the first recorded war of mankind, believe it or not. So your roots is getting traced right here. You men of action, you men who want to see where your masculinity came from, where your domination of other men came from. I'm sharing it with you now. All right, so they made war against Bara, who was the king of Sodom. Have you heard of that? Sodom? They also made war against Bursa. Bursa happened to be the king of another community you might have heard of, Gomorrah. Sodom, Gomorrah, Bara, Bursa. These names are in that song. As well as against Sanab. Sanab is the king of Adama. Sennabar. Sennabar is the king of Seboim. King of Seboim. And lastly, Sagar or Zoar. Sagar or Zoar is the king of Bala. Bala. All right. Let's see what I can show you here. Again, refer to these images on Facebook for a better and a more meticulous view. Now, what's going on here is in this area are these kings. So now are these 4 kings under Kodalahomor. I'm jumping the gun. So these 4 are going to, they want to expand. Kodalahomor wants to expand. There's more to this because of Babylon, etc., etc. So they are going to make war against the kingdoms over here. Remember, I pointed it out to you. It's southeast of Canaan. That's where all this is. Sodom, Gomorrah, Adama. So this is what's occurring. And this is where it is occurring. Now, continuing. All these came together into the woodland vale. This vale is known as the Valley of Siddim. Valley of Siddim. So they all come together. And this is more west versus towards where Kodalhomor is east. So there again, it's encroaching on these guys' territory, the 5 kingdoms, okay, the 5 kingdoms. So they are going to meet everyone at the Valley of Siddim. This may have another ringing ear to you known as the Salt Sea. Salt Sea. So the Valley of Siddim, later Salt Sea. Now, these 4 kingdoms, as I was telling you before, let's go over this a little bit more. Let's do the history. So, for about 12 years, the 4 kingdoms, they have been serving The name I told you about, the CH name, the Door La Homer. If you listen to the song, the name will stick with you. First word. Kodor Homer. They've been serving him for, the other three have been serving him for 12 years. The 13th year, they revolted from him, revolted from the Hebrew text, from him. Revolted from him. Is so essential as to what Moses was describing. Because as it's currently written, this was not a kingship overthrow, so to speak, that these three were overthrowing Kodor Lahomer. No. Otherwise, Moses would have certainly made it known that this was one of the goals, but Moses did not annotate this anywhere. Revolted from him, revolted from him. Clearly shows that these lordships had enough with Kodor Lahomer, and they made it publicly known, and they made it militarily known that enough was enough. And he was no longer their supreme commander, as the nations were no longer unified. Unified no more. Kind of like that. This United States. Revolt against him entails a violent overthrow. And with much police and a lot of militant interaction. So again, when you read, especially when it comes time to translations, the interpretation can be very debatable sometimes and very heated. So so next time you engage with someone, that's like that. Don't be quick to jump the gun as to your response. It's best to contemplate your words, to reply snippily and regret it later. So pause a couple seconds after this person has finished saying what he or she has to say. You may come to the conclusion that it's really not worth pursuing. Walk away. That is your answer. Think how you wish to respond, and then run through it your mind slowly. There is no rush. If this individual isn't a rush, let that person go. Again, it's not worth your conflict. Execute which you rehearsed in your mind slowly. So those are the steps. You'll certainly raise eyebrows with your technique, because most people nowadays are so quick with their impromptu responses, and they later bite their tongues. You don't want you to be different. Sit back on your words. Soothe them for a little bit. Let them be impatient. You take charge of your moment. Deliver it when you are ready. Continuing, therefore, in the 14th year, came Kodor Lahomer, and the kings were with them, and they struck. Oh yeah, they struck. People get greedy for more and more room, because there's always people underneath that you have to please. Over and over and over. All right. So in the 14th year came Kodor Lahomer, and the kings that were with him, they struck. Raphael. which is in Astarathamim, I believe. And they also struck Sufi with them, and Emim, and Sa'i of the Shaveh, Kiriathaim, and the Horites, the Korhians. A lot of conquering. This Kodalahomor is becoming the first devastating Homo sapien army Terra has ever known. That's why I told you. Keep this name of Kodalahomor in your mind. It's besides what Terra went through earlier, this is now starting to become de facto thing. Mankind having an army seems to be of second-hand nature. Sad to say. Sad to say. In the mountains of Seir, even to the champion country of Faran. Champion country of Faran, which is in the lovely wilderness. And they returned. And they came as far as the fountain of Misfat. They're returning now, coming back down south. They went up north, a little bit west, and now heading back. Came as far as the fountain of Misfat, which is in Kades. Could be a K. Kades. And they struck all the country of the Amalekites and of the Amorians that dwell in Esim-Thamar, Hazazon-Thamar. Again, refer to the maps. It's best versus me describing these to you. Refer to the maps. They're pretty pointed out as far as what I believe to be the estimation of all these extraordinary communities. Continuing. And they went forth, the king of Sodom, the king of Gomorrah, the king of Adama, the king of Seboim, moreover, the king of Bala, which is Sagar. They set themselves against them in battle array in the woodland vale, the valley of Siddim, to wit, against Kodor La Homer, the king of the Elamites, and Thadar, king of nations, and Amraphel, the king of Senna, and Arioch, the king of Pontus. 4 kings versus 5. But in this woodland vale of Siddim, the salt seas I told you it would become, it had many pits of bitumen, tar, bitumen. Therefore, the king of Sodom and of Gomorrah, again, these were the people that Lot unified with, okay? So the king of Sodom, the king of Gomorrah, they turned their backs and they were overthrown there, and they that remain fled to the mountain. All because of these 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 incredible black tar pits, so to speak. They were used again. You heard of these because do you remember the ark? All right, so when that incredible ramp door was sealed, it was sealed from the outside. So the angels they sealed it so the water wouldn't get in with the bitumen, the bitumen, the bitumen, the pit. Sorry, go ahead, little guy. Um, they sealed it with that to make sure no water would get inside of the ark. So now these pits, there were a lot of this asphalt pits. And so these kings, these five kings, were very trained at war as Chedorlaomer, as you already saw, witnessed. He was pretty well trained. He had his four guys trained, and they had some practice. So by the time they got south to the Salt Sea, yeah, they weren't really an army to mess with. You should be prepared, and they weren't. The five kings were not prepared. Continuing, and they took all the substance of the Sodomites and of the Gomorrans. They took all kinds of victuals, and they went their way, and Lot also, and his substance. They took it all. The son of, yes, the son of Abram's brother, his nephew. Yep, they took it. And I'm sure they knew who it was, because Abram had quite a name, quite a reputation going on out there. So, what do you think the main impetus of this conflict was about? It was about riches? Or do you think it was about just man's greed? You know, the as you saw the other kings, they were already the four kings, the three kings. They were already getting a little nervy under Chedorlaomer. They were tired of his whip, his iron rule. So this was about it's time to get more people for you to pick on, dude, because we've had enough of this. See this? See how this works? It's one man picking on another man. This is already set up because of that Tower of Babel. Yeah, man. So we already know the history of this. So don't be surprised about what's evolving here. Just like don't be surprised what's evolving here in this United States of America. Continuing. And behold, one that had escaped had told Abram, the Hebrew, that dwelt in the vale of Mamre, the Amoran, the brother of Eshcol, and the brother of Aner, for these had made a league with Abram. Let's go over this league one more time. So, one particular Hebrew, there's probably more than that, because this is a pretty long chain of people that were kidnapped. Lot's people and the Gomorrans and the Samarians and the Edomites. Like I said, there's a lot of people here. So probably more than one escaped. But one particular individual knew who Lot was. All right, so this individual, this Hebrew, fled to the sweet over towards Abram. And as you already know, Abram was dwelling in the vale of Mamre. So, Abram was told, the Morian was told, bro of Esco, also the brother of Honor. They had made a league of four. Made a league. Abram and these three made a league. Which when Abram had heard to it that his brother, again, as I told you before, a lot of times Moses writes as brother versus nephew. You already know the true definition, but just be along with the times is how the man was referred to each other. Because I told you, the golden seed was realized way before it is now. It was our loins, what we can leave behind, our family. That's what our forefathers knew and treasured, because we were so close to the baptism of the flood, which was even so close to Adam and Eve. So all this was fresh. All these things, these events were so fresh within our ancestors. That's why it was so incredible back then, the expansion, what was going on, the praising of Elohim. But as time carries on, as you see now, is the result because of our stupidity, our foolishness of following man, something that we just never give up on. We keep repeating this mistake over and over and over. But hey, stick with me, Shepherd Corps. We will guide you straight and true. Continuing. So Abram has heard that his nephew Lot had been taken. So he numbered of the servants born in his house, well appointed. And that number was 318. And he took this 318 and they went northeast to an area called Dan. So, of all the several hundred servants that were within the incredible, expansive Abram household, he selected his most elite. So let's say there were 1,300. It's probably 13,000. Let's say out of 1,300, he selected his most elite. Probably gentlemen who weren't married or didn't have families. 318 loyal, sturdy men, capable, fight-able servants who would follow him without question. Continuing. And dividing his company, he ran upon them in the night. So he went with Dan. He ran upon them in the night and struck them and pursued them unto Hobah. Which is on the left side of Damascus. That's it, Damascus. And he brought back all the substance and Lot, his brother, nephew, with his substance, and the women also, and the people. So not only did Abram bring back his nephew, but he also brought back the other four kingdoms that were apprehended, their wives, their children. Abram brought all them back. So yeah, there was a pretty incredible alliance. Remember what happened? Lot and Abram, they had to split. So pretty much these families were equal to one another. They were, brothers and sisters. That's how close they were. So now it wasn't that much of a surprise for them to come back and realize that it was Abram who saved them. So this is an incredible Thanksgiving and rescue due to a man they're already aware of. They're already fully cognizant of who Abram is and his lead. The 318 was no longer 318. It probably was. It's 3, 6, 9, 12. No, 20,000 maybe. So now we have 20,000 people. Don't forget, 4 kingdoms. 318 plus 4 kingdoms are now coming southwest. So this Abraham League most likely escorted up to that number. The king of Sodom went forth to meet him. And after he returned from the slaughter of Chedorlaomer and of the kings that were with him in the vale of Sedom, which is the king's vale. So during this time comes an incredible individual by the name of Melchizedek. And we're going to stop here because I want to explore Melchizedek because not enough is discussed about him. He's referred and inferred later by so many people. It's just so incredible. But yet we don't really have a bloodline on him. Unfortunately, we have guesses and estimations. But yeah, Melchizedek. Father Melchizedek. Absolutely. So until then, enjoy your evening. Pax Vobis.